Hello, Redline Logbook here. Before we get to the video, I would like to say that I intend on doing all kinds of anime and manga in my channel. I'm just starting with One Piece because it happens to be my favorite manga. So if you're interested in more variety, it will be on its way. Just give me some time. Thank you. Now to the video. Where we're at in Wano right now is that all the officers have been defeated, and the only ones left are Big Mom and Kaido. So, how does Wano end, and what happens next? Starting with the end of Wano, I believe both Big Mom and Kaido are going down. Kaido will be defeated by Luffy, and Big Mom will be defeated by Kid and Law. Most people are against this because they believe Big Mom has a bigger role to play, and Luffy will be the one to beat her. First off, Luffy doesn't need to beat her, she just needs to go down. He's going to beat Kaido, there's no need for him to beat every Yonko. He didn't beat every warlord, so why beat every Yonko? It doesn't make sense. Also, Big Mom doesn't really need to go to Elbaf. There's no reason for her to have closure there. The Giants don't care about her. They have no need for closure, they just hate her and that's that. Her closure is required her to get her memories back of her killing Mother Carmel and all of her friends. And there's no real reason for her to need to go to Elbaf for her to get her memories back. She can get it any time, or maybe never. Maybe Oda just doesn't care. I mean, amnesia has been a part of her character since the very beginning, so why would she need to be able to remember something that happened decades ago that really has nothing to do with her anymore, if we're being honest? It's extremely rare, in fact it basically never happens for Oda to give villains closure. So I don't see this happening. She has no more purpose. Where she is now is where she should go down. And it perfectly makes sense that she's going to lose to both Kid and Law. Luffy doesn't have to beat every single villain. That's unnecessary whenever there are other supernovas. Plus, we're seeing Big Mom at her full strength when she ate a year worth of her soul. This is important because whenever a main villain fights and wins a fight, which is what everyone thinks is going to happen with Kid and Law, they don't ever use their full power. Crocodile, Doflamingo, etc., etc., etc. Whenever they use their full power, like Doflamingo using Awakening, that is when the fight ends. So, and the villain loses. So it would make sense, Big Mom going all out right now, this is where she's going to lose. This is her end. And the last thing about Big Mom losing is that people seem to forget that this is the last arc in the Versus Yonko saga. It wouldn't make sense for only one Yonko to go down in this saga. It would make the most, because if that happened, it would be no different than what happened to Whitebeard. What happened to Whitebeard was that it just left a power vacuum which was then easily filled by someone else. But if half the Yonkos are taken out in one instance, which is Wano, then it would make more sense, because that would be the end of the Yonko system. The Yonko system cannot exist if there are only two Yonkos. Even people like the Gorosei and Marco have mentioned multiple times that a new era is coming. First it was Rock's era, then Roger's, then the Yonko, and now it is the next generations. Luffy's generation, the worst generations. It only makes sense that what the remnants of what was the Yonko, the pillars who held up the world for so long, Big Mom and Kaido, are gone now. The reason why Shanks and Blackbeard can go on as Yonko into the next saga, even though this is supposed to be the Versus Yonko saga, why aren't they going down with the rest, is because Shanks doesn't really care about being a Yonko. He seems to be a gatekeeper waiting for the next king, waiting for Luffy, while Blackbeard is part of the worst generation. So it makes sense that these two, the gatekeeper and the villain trying to push his way past the gatekeeper, are what's left. As for what happens at the end of the fighting, well, I believe the Navy is going to take Wano, and this will force the Straw Hats and their allies to escape with everything they have. I think Drake would help them escape, but for the most part, I don't see any way that they can win after fighting an entire war, basically, with two Yonkos. They are exhausted. They cannot beat the Navy now. Okay, I said I do not see a way, but there is one. It's kind of a comedic, kind of a serious, stoic moment for Momo. And that is Momo, because he now looks like his father as an adult, will basically just stand there as an imposing force that will basically, I wouldn't say scare the Navy away, but it will become a symbol that they just cannot intrude on Wano. But the thing that I really want to talk about is what happens after Wano. What is happening outside of Wano? And that is Vivi. I believe Vivi is going to be wanted. Completely wanted by the world government. Alabasta is, of course, mentioned in the newspaper. As most people probably believe, it is probably the death of Cobra and the possible almost death of Vivi, and Sabo is the suspect who committed the murder. But something else happened when Big News Morgan beat up that Cyberpol agent. He got a call from Wapple. And Wapple said he had some information connected to the story, one of the stories he was writing. I believe Wapple told Big News Morgan Vivi is a Straw Hat. Now, the stuff involving Vivi being wanted will most likely be off screen because Luffy is the protagonist and the story will follow him. But it is stated by the narrator that the Grand Fleet will do something extraordinary one day. It didn't say Luffy had to be there for them to do something extraordinary. Both Don, Sai, and Leo are already at the Reverie. So, if something happened to Vivi where she had to now go on the run, they would of course protect her because they are the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Now, someone in his crew will read a newspaper and learn what happened to Vivi. Not Luffy. But once they learn this, they can easily get in contact with the Grand Fleet, because Luffy even already said if he's ever in trouble and he needs them, he will call on them. They're just allowed to do their own thing. So, I believe he will call on them to protect her and keep her safe and bring her to them, which will, of course, won't happen immediately, but I do believe it will happen when they get to Laugh Tale. This works perfectly for the story because that means a member of the D-Clan, Luffy, and a former Celestial Dragon, Vivi, are now going to learn the history of the world together. In fact, Vivi being there is extremely important if this great war is going to happen. Because, like Rayleigh said, the history of the Void Century will mean different things to different people. While some people will rise up, the majority of people will want to live their lives that they've been living because most people in the world do live peaceful, good lives. But if Vivi joins the rebellion against the world government, Vivi, a princess of a respected kingdom, one of the 20 founding nations of the world government, Vivi would be a rallying cry for all the people who want change, but are just too scared to try for it. Okay, thank you for watching. I am going to be trying to release 1 to 2 videos a week if possible. So subscribe and hit the like button if you want to hear more videos on One Piece and other anime things. And have yourself a lovely day.